Krishna Kesava Pahi Mam Ramo Raghava Ramo Raghava Rama Raghava Rakshama Rama Raghava Rama Raghava Rama Raghava Pahi Mam. Jai Om Vishwapad Paramahansa Parivraj Torasi Samadabhaya Charinda Bhaktivedanta Swami Shri Prabhupada Ki Jai ISKCON Founder Chai Shri Prabhupada Ki Jai and Koti Vaishnavinda Ki Jai Nam Acharya Shri Haridas Thakur Ki Jai Prem Shri Ho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasari Gaur Bhaktavinda Ki Jai Shri Shri Radha Madhava Gopinath Shyamakund Radhakund Giri Govardhan Ki Jai Shri Vrindam Simpurdham Ki Jai Navadip Mayapur Dham Ki Jai Shri Jagannath Puri Dham Ki Jai Ganga Mai Jamuna Mai Ki Jai Tulsi Devi Bhakti Devi Ki Jai Sangha Veda Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai Harinam Sankirtan Ki Jai Krishna Book Ki Jai Jainitai Gaur Premanandi. All glories to the assembled devotees. Glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Sri Sri Guru Gauranga. Glories to Sri Prabhupada. Hare Krishna. Continuing reading the Krishna book. Summary study of the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, founder chair of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness. Srila Prabhupada thought he may not live to finish the translation of the Srimad Bhagavatam. So he thought to do a summary of the 10th canto, which considered the smiling face of Krishna. And as it happens, Prabhupada didn't stay long enough to finish it, and actually this chapter we're reading, this is chapter 13, entitled The Stealing of the Boys and Calves by Brahma, was the last chapter he translated from the Srimad Bhagavatam. So we've heard how Lord Brahma, to test Krishna, stole the calves and boys. Brahma just couldn't conceive, although the Devas know that the Lord, the Supreme Lord, was appearing in his Krishna feature, which is actually the supreme feature of the Lord, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, that is Krishna in Vrindavan. But it was just inconceivable to Lord Brahma that this Supreme Personality of Godhead will be in the form of a young boy wandering barefoot through the forest, playing with his friends, imitating the sounds of animals, birds, taking fruit from their lunch boxes and eating it, and they also taking fruit, snatching fruit from his own and eating. So Brahma and everyone else, bewildered, why would God do such a thing? Why would God act like this? And he becomes very bewildered. So now he's going to test. Let's check the potency of the Lord. See how he behaves when I play a trick on him. And so he took the calves and the boys away from Krishna while they were in the forest and put them in a cave somewhere, transferred them to a cave. And when he came back to see the fun, he found that nothing had changed. Krishna was there with his friends and the calves. So he thought, oh, very strange. So then he went back to the cave to check, and he saw them all in the cave. Then he quickly came back and he saw they were back in the forest. So he thought, how is he doing this? Is there one set or two sets? Or is he just influencing my mind to make me believe that this is happening? Or is there actually two sets, or is he transferring one set while I go to the cave, and when I leave, he immediately brings them back again? When I go back to the cave, he immediately transfers them back to the cave? He became very bewildered. And then he will offer very eloquent prayers in the next chapter. So this is the continuing with the stealing of the boys and calves by Brahma. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. The mothers of the boys heard the vibration of their flutes before their entrance, and to receive them, they come out of their homes and embrace them. And out of material affection, milk was flowing from their breasts, and they allowed the boys to drink it. However, their offering was not exactly to their boys, but to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who had expanded himself into such boys. This was a chance for all the mothers of Vrindavan to feed the Supreme Personality of Godhead with their own milk. Therefore, not only did Lord Krishna give Yasoda the chance to feed him, but this time he gave the chance to all of the other elderly gopis. Because all the gopis would love to have had Krishna as their son. They should treat him like their son, but here they got the opportunity to have Krishna live with them as their son for 1 year. Of course, they didn't know it was Krishna. They thought it was their own son. But Krishna is fulfilling the desire of his pure devotees. All the boys dealt with their mothers as usual, and the mothers, on the approach of evening, bathed their respective children, decorated them with tilak and ornaments, and gave them necessary food after the day's labor. The cows also, who were away in the pasturing ground, returned in the evening and called their respective calves. The calves immediately came to their mothers, and the mothers began to lick the bodies of the calves. These relations between the cows and the gopis with their calves and boys remained unchanged, although actually the original calves and boys were not there. Actually, the cows' affection for their calves and the elderly gopis' affection for the boys causelessly increased. Their affection increased naturally, even though the calves and boys were not their offspring. That means that Krishna is most dear to everyone, more dear than their own children. It says that people will stop at nothing to fulfill their desires, fulfill their needs. They do anything in this world to enjoy. But then the yogis and the jnanis, they can give everything up, and all the material enjoyment up for something higher, for a higher taste, that the Brahma Bhuta Pasanatmana, that they can taste the higher happiness of experiencing the soul. Because the body is attractive because the soul is inside the body. So therefore people are attracted to bodies. But for the self-realized persons, then the soul becomes the most attractive thing, because it's actually the life of the body. And so Krishna, he's actually the soul of all souls. So the devotees of Krishna, they can even give up the happiness of self-realization for the happiness of Krishna consciousness. Move it up. Because Krishna is the soul of souls. So naturally they were more attracted to Krishna than their own children and their own calves. because Krishna is the all-attractive, where we are just a small part and parcel of Krishna. Although the cows and elder gopis of Vrindavan had greater affection for Krishna than their own offspring, after this incident, their affection for their offspring increased unlimitedly, exactly as it did for Krishna. Special blessing. For 1 year continuously, Krishna himself expanded as the calves and cow boys and was present in the pasturing grounds. As it is stated in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna's expansion is situated in everyone's heart as a supersoul. Similarly, instead of expanding himself as a supersoul, he expanded himself as a portion of calves and cowherd boys for 1 continuous year. One day, a few days before a year had passed, Krishna and Balaram were maintaining the calves in the forest when they saw some cows grazing on top of Govardhan Hill. The cow could see down into the valley where the calves were being taken care of by the boys. Suddenly, upon sighting their calves, the cows began to run towards them. They leaped downhill with joined front and rear legs. The cows were so melted with affection for their calves, they did not care about the rough path from the top of Govardhan Hill down to the pasturing ground. They approached the calves with their milk bags full of milk, and they raised their tails upwards. When they were coming down the hill, their milk bags were pouring milk on the ground out of intense material affection for the calves, although they were not their own calves. These cows had their own calves, and the calves that were grazing beneath Govardhan Hill were larger, and they were not expected to drink milk directly from the milk bags, but were satisfied with the grass. In other words, the second generation calves. Yet all the cows came immediately and began to lick their bodies, and the calves also began to suck milk from the milk bags. There appeared to be a great bondage of affection between the cows and the calves, a natural bondage. When the cows were running down from the top of Govardhan Hill, the men who were taking care of them tried to stop them. Older cows are taken care of by the men, and the calves are taken care of by the boys. And as far as possible, the calves are kept separate from the cows, so that the calves do not drink all the available milk. Therefore, the men who were taking care of the cows on the top of Govardhan Hill tried to stop them, but they failed. Baffled by their failure, they were feeling ashamed and angry. They were very unhappy, but when they came down and saw their children taking care of the calves, they all of a sudden became very affectionate towards the children. It was very astonishing. Although the men came down disappointed, baffled, and angry, as soon as they saw their own children, their hearts melted with great affection. At once the anger, dissatisfaction, and unhappiness disappeared. They began to show paternal love for the children, and with great affection they lifted them in their arms and embraced them. They began to smell their children's heads and enjoy their company with great happiness. After embracing their children, the men took the cows back to the top of Govardhan Hill. Along the way, they began to think of their children, and their affectionate tears fell from their eyes. When Balaram saw this extraordinary exchange of affection between the cows and their calves, and between the fathers and their children, when neither the calves nor the children needed so much care, he began to why this extraordinary thing had happened. He was astonished to see all the residents of Vrindavan so affectionate to their own children, exactly as they had been to Krishna. Similarly, the cows had grown affectionate to their calves as much as to Krishna. Balaram therefore concluded that the extraordinary show of affection was something mystical, either performed by the demigods or by some powerful man. Otherwise, how could this wonderful change take place? He concluded that this mystical change must have been caused by Krishna, whom Balaram considered his worshipful personality of Godhead. He thought, it was arranged by Krishna, and even I could not check its mystic power. Thus Balaram understood that those boys and calves were only expansions of Krishna. It took him 1 year. And Balaram inquired from Krishna about the actual situation. He said, my dear Krishna, in the beginning I thought that all these calves and cowherd boys were either great sages and saintly persons or demigods, but at present it appears they are actually your expansions. They are all you. You yourself are playing as the calves and boys. What is the mystery of this situation? Where have those other calves and boys gone? And why are you expanding yourself as the calves and the boys? Will you kindly tell me what is the cause? At the request of Balaram, Krishna briefly explained the whole situation, how the calves and boys had been stolen by Brahma, and how Krishna was concealing the incident by expanding himself so people would not know that the original calves and boys were missing. When Krishna and Balaram were talking, Brahma returned after a moment's interval, according to the duration of his life. We have information of Lord Brahma's duration of life from the Bhagavad Gita, 1,000 times the duration of 4 ages, or 1,000 times 4,320,000 years constitute Brahma's 12 hours. Similarly, 1 moment of Brahma is equal to 1 year of our solar calculation. After 1 moment of Brahma's calculation, Brahma came back to see the fun caused by his stealing the boys and calves. But he was also afraid that he was playing with fire. Krishna was his master, and he had played mischief for fun by taking away his calves and boys. He was really anxious, so he did not stay away for very long. He came back after a moment of his calculation. He saw all the boys and calves were playing with Krishna in the same way as when he had come upon them. Although he was confident that he had taken them and made them lay down asleep under the spell of his mystic power. Brahma began to think, all the boys and calves were taken away by me, and I know they are still sleeping. How is it that a similar batch of boys and calves is playing with Krishna? Is it that they are not influenced by my mystic power? Have they been playing continually for 1 year with Krishna? Brahma tried to understand who they were and how they were uninfluenced by his mystic power. But he could not ascertain it. In other words, he himself became under the spell of his own mystic power. The influence of his mystic power appeared like snow in darkness, or a glowworm in the daytime. During the night's darkness, the glowworm can show some glittering power, and the snow piled up in top of the hill or on the ground can shine during the daytime. But at night, the snow has no silver glitter, nor does a glowworm have any illuminating power during the daytime. Similarly, when the small mystic power exhibited by Brahma was before the mystic power of Krishna, it was just like snow at night or a glowworm during the day. When a man of small mystic power wants to show potency in the presence of a greater mystic power, he diminishes his own influence. He does not increase it. Even such a great personality as Brahma, when he wanted to show his mystic power before Krishna, became ludicrous. Brahma was thus confused about his own mystic power. In order to convince Brahma that all those calves and boys were not the original ones, the calves and boys who were playing with Krishna transformed into Vishnu forms. Actually, the original ones were sleeping under the spell of Brahma's mystic power. But the present ones seen by Brahma were all immediate expansions of Krishna, of Vishnu. Vishnu is the expansion of Krishna. So the Vishnu forms appeared before Brahma. All the Vishnu forms were bluish color, dressed in yellow garments. All of them had 4 hands decorated with club, disc, lotus flower and conch shell. On their heads were glittering golden helmets inlaid with jewels. They were bedecked with pearls and earrings and garlanded with beautiful flowers. On their chests were the mark of Srivats. Their arms were decorated with armlets and other jewelry, and their necks were just like conch shells. Their legs were decorated with bells, their waists with golden belts, and their fingers with jeweled rings. Brahma also saw that upon the whole body of each Lord Vishnu, beginning from the lotus feet up to the top of the head, fresh tulsi leaves and buds had been thrown. Another significant feature of the Vishnu forms was that all of them were looking transcendently beautiful. Their smiling resembled moonshine, and their glancing resembled the early rising of the sun. Just by their glancing, they appeared to be the creators and maintainers of the modes of ignorance and passion. Vishnu represents the mode of goodness, Brahma the mode of passion, and Lord Shiva the mode of ignorance. Therefore, as the maintainer of everything in the cosmic manifestation, Vishnu is also the creator and maintainer of Brahma and Lord Shiva. After this manifestation of Lord Vishnu, Brahma saw that many other Brahmanas and Shivas and demigods and even insignificant entities down to the ants and very small straws, all moving and non-moving living entities, were dancing surrounding Lord Vishnu. Their dancing was accompanied by various kinds of music, and all of them were worshipping Lord Vishnu. Brahma realized that all those Vishnu forms were complete in mystic power, beginning from the anima perfection of becoming small like an atom up to becoming infinite like the cosmic manifestation. All the mystic powers of Brahma, Shiva, all the demigods and the 24 elements of cosmic manifestation were fully represented in the person of Vishnu. By the influence of Vishnu, all subordinate mystic powers were engaged in his worship. He was being worshipped by time, space, the cosmic manifestation, reformation, desire, activity, and the 3 qualities of material nature. Lord Vishnu, Brahma also realized, is the reservoir of all truth, knowledge, and bliss. He is a combination of the 3 transcendental features, namely eternity, knowledge, and bliss, and he is the object of worship by the followers of the Upanishads. Brahma realized that all the different forms of boys and calves transformed into Vishnu forms were not transformed by a mysticism or the type of that a yogi or a demigod can display by specific powers invested in him. The calves and boys transformed into Vishnumurtis or Vishnu forms were not displays of Vishnu Maya, of Vishnu's energy, but were Vishnu himself. The respective qualifications of Vishnu and Vishnu Maya are just like fire and heat. In the heat, there is a qualification of fire, namely warmth. And yet, heat is not fire. The manifestation of the Vishnu forms of the boys and calves was not like the heat, but rather the fire. They were all actually Vishnu. Factually, The qualification of Vishnu is full truth, full knowledge and full bliss. Another example can be given with material objects which are reflected in many, many forms. For example, the sun is reflected in many water pots, but the reflections of the sun in the many pots are not actually the sun. There is no actual heat or light from the suns in the pots, although they appear just like the sun. But the forms of Krishna, which Krishna assumed, were each and every one full Vishnu. The specific word used in this connection is Satya, Jananantananda. Satya means truth, Jnana means full knowledge, Ananta, unlimited, and Ananda, full bliss. The transcendental forms of the Supreme Personality of Godhead are so great that the impersonalistic followers of the Upanishads cannot reach the platform of knowledge to understand them. Indeed, the transcendental forms of the Lord are far beyond the reach of the impersonalists, who can only understand through studying the Upanishads that the absolute truth is not matter or is not materially restricted. From Krishna's expansions into Vishnu forms, Brahma could understand by his limited potency that everything movable and immovable within the cosmic manifestation is existing due to the expansion of the energy of the Supreme Lord. By Krishna's chit potency, Krishna gave him special understanding of this, otherwise he was completely bewildered. But Krishna gave him the understanding, increased the chit potency, that Brahma could actually perceive what was actually going on. Otherwise, not possible. That this is the Lord himself directly expanding. When Brahma was thus standing baffled in his limited power and conscious of his limited activities within the 11 senses, he could realize that he was also a creation of the material energy, just like a puppet. As a puppet has no independent power to dance, but dances according to the direction of the puppet master, so the demigods and living entities are all subordinate to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. As it is stated in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, the only master is Krishna, and all others are his servants. The whole world is under the waves of the material spell, and beings are floating like straws in water. So their struggle for existence is continuing. But as soon as one becomes conscious that he is the eternal servant of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, this Maya, or illusory struggle for existence, is immediately stopped. The Maya is the Prabhupada calls it the illusory struggle to lord it over the material energy. Because it is Krishna's energy, the illusory energy, Maya, is Krishna's energy. And Krishna says it's very difficult to overcome. In the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, Devyashi, Gunamayi, Mama Maya, Duratya. It is divine energy, Maya, my energy. It's very powerful, very difficult to overcome. So that is the material world. Everyone is in difficulty trying to overcome the material nature, which is forcing us to eat, forcing us to sleep, forcing us to work, forcing us to search for pleasure, forcing us to search for relief from heat, cold, thirst, hunger, pain, lamentation, fearing. Forced to do these things because we think we should be the controllers and these things shouldn't disturb us. So this is Maya. We're trying to change the laws of nature ourselves, but Krishna says it's very difficult because it's working out of my direction. So Maya is the servant of Krishna. She's not our servant. And Krishna's told her to keep the living entities bound up until they surrender to me. As Krishna says, although this material energy is practically insurmountable, it can be overcome if one surrenders to me. Then it's very easy. So when one turns back to, one recognizes, in fact, that one is actually the eternal servant of Krishna, one is not the master, one is the controlled, not the controller, then one can give up this foolish idea of trying to control the material nature to have a better future. It is not to be, because all of the in the future everything will be taken away. The body will be taken away, and because we leave unfulfilled, our desires are unfulfilled, the subtle body, the desires which are in the mind, that takes us to another body, so we can try again. And that particular body is we get according to our activities and desires in this particular life, karma. But if one turns back, if one actually recognizes they're the eternal servant of Krishna and engages in the service of Krishna, then Maya has no real influence. In other words, Maya can only act if we reciprocate with her. We reciprocate with Maya in two ways: trying to defend ourselves, or trying to control her, and trying to enjoy her. These are both illusory methods. But when one comes to devotional service, then one gives up these two activities, either trying to enjoy the material world or trying to get out of the material world, and instead spends the time serving Krishna. Then that's natural life. That's real life. Then Maya is very pleased. Krishna says at that time, okay, Maya, Devi, you give this one who's coming to me. There's no need for to test him anymore. He's passed the test, so I'll take care. So then that's a shortcut. Krishna says, if you can surrender to me immediately, I'll take care of everything for you. Even if you're not properly situated and your lifestyle is not really the very best, I'll take care of all those things. Daman pratijya mami comes from ham tvam sava pape mokti samasicha. Don't worry, I'll take care of it. Even if you stop religious duties, which are supposed to be simple, I'll take care of that. So that is the Lord's position. Now Brahma's realizing he's just one of the insignificant living entities in the material cosmic manifestation, although he's the greatest human within the universe. In one particular universe, he's like the head of the Lord Shiva. So relatively speaking, he's very significant, but from the universal perspective, the billions of universes, he's also part of one of the insignificant living entities. So by Krishna's grace, Krishna allowed him to perceive that. So after this manifestation of Lord Vishnu, Brahma saw that many other Brahmas and Shivas, demigods, they're all serving the Lord, even the non-moving entities like the plants, they were all worshipping the Lord, but they were dancing in their own ways, and Lord was in the center. So Brahma realized that all the different forms of boys and calves transformed into Vishnu forms were not transformed by... What was that? Okay, sorry. The transcendental forms of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Okay. So when Brahma was thus standing baffled in his limited power and consciousness, and conscious of his limited activities within the 11 senses, he could realize that he was also a creation of material energy, just like a puppet. So, as stated in the Chaitamrita, the only master is Krishna and all others are his servants. The whole world is under the waves of the material spell, and beings are floating like straws in water. But as soon as one becomes conscious that he is eternal servant of Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, this Maya struggle for existence is stopped. Lord Brahma, who had full control over the goddess of learning, and who is considered to be the best authority in Vedic knowledge, was thus perplexed, being unable to understand the extraordinary power manifested by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. In the mundane world, even a personality like Brahma is unable to understand the mystic power of the Supreme Lord. Not only did Brahma fail to understand, but he was perplexed even to see the display which is being manifested by Krishna before him. Krishna took compassion on Brahma, who was unable to even see how he was displaying the forms of Vishnu and transforming himself into the calves and cowherd boys, and thus, while fully manifesting the Vishnu expansions, he suddenly pulled his curtain of Yogamaya over the scene. In the Bhagavad Gita, it is said that the Supreme Personality of Godhead is not visible due to the curtain spread by Yogamaya. That which covers the reality is Mahamaya, or the external energy, which does not allow a conditioned soul to understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead beyond the cosmic manifestation. But the energy which partially manifests the Supreme Personality of Godhead and partially does not allow one to see is called Yogamaya. Brahma is not an ordinary conditioned soul. He is far, far superior to all other demigods, and yet he could not comprehend the display of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Therefore, Krishna willingly stopped manifesting any further potency. The conditioned soul not only becomes bewildered, but is completely unable to understand. The curtain of Yogamaya was drawn so that Brahma would not become more and more perplexed. When Brahma was relieved from his perplexity, he appeared to waken from an almost dead state and began to open his eyes with great difficulty. Thus he could see all the external cosmic manifestation with common eyes. He saw all around him the super excellent view of Vrindavan, full with trees, which is the source of life for all living entities. He could appreciate the transcendental land of Vrindavan, where all the living entities are transcendental to ordinary nature. In the forest of Vrindavan, even ferocious animals like tigers live peacefully along with the deer and human beings. He could understand that because of the presence of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Vrindavan is transcendental to all other places and is free of lust and greed. Brahma thus found that Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, playing the part of a small cowherd boy, he saw that child with a lump of food in his left hand, searching out his friends and calves, just as he had actually been doing 1 year before, after their disappearance. Immediately Brahma descended from his great swan carrier and fell down before the Lord like a golden stick. The word used among the Vaishnavas for offering respect is dandavat. The word falling down like a stick, that's what it means. One should offer respect to the superior Vaishnavas by falling down straight with his body, just like a stick. So Brahma fell down before the Lord just like a stick to offer respect, and because the complexion of Brahma is golden, he appeared to be like a golden stick laying before Krishna. All the 4 helmets of the heads of Brahma touched the lotus feet of Krishna. Brahma, being very joyful, began to shed tears, and he washed the lotus feet of Krishna with his tears. Repeatedly he fell down and rose as he recalled the wonderful activities of the Lord. After repeating obeisances for a long time, Brahma stood up and smeared his hands over his eyes. Seeing the Lord before him, he trembled and began to offer prayers with great respect, humility, and attention. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purport of the 13th chapter of Krishna, sealing the boys and calves by Brahma. Jai Gopal Krishna ki Jai, Krishna book ki Jai. Mr. Bhaktivedanta Thakur in his Chaitanya Charitamrita, listing these different pastimes of childhood Krishna, removing different offenses by hearing and understanding these stories. So this Brahma Mohan, bewildering of Lord Brahma. Bhaktivinoda Thakur says the destruction of this demon, this pastime purifies the cultivation of fruitive activities and speculative knowledge, which ultimately lead to a skeptical mentality. This pastime also rectifies the offense of disrespecting the Lord's superior quality of transcendental sweetness, madhurya, in favor of his inferior majestic opulences, aishvarya. So it purifies the cultivation of fruitive activities and speculative knowledge, which are the two. According to Rupa Goswami, the definition of pure devotional service is that which is performed without these two things. Fruitive activity, the desire for some fruit, it's karma, and speculative knowledge, gyan, or liberation, which is gyan. So karma and gyan, these two aspects, the desire to act, to enjoy this world, or the desire to act, to become liberated from this world, these two are impediments to pure unalloyed devotional service. So Rupa Goswami explains that these two should be given up, because they're both concerning, it's either my happiness in the material world, fruit of karma, or my superior happiness in the spiritual world, become happy with the whole, with the one, the supreme happiness. So they're both tainted with self-interest. So pure devotional service is free from that. Pure unalloyed devotional service, that is. It's not mixed with those two. It's pure unalloyed devotional service is formed just for the satisfaction of Lord Krishna, without considering one's own benefits. And it also it destroys, it rectifies the offense of disrespecting the Lord's superior quality of transcendental sweetness by still imagining he is the supreme Lord of all the worlds, great creator, maintainer, destroyer. So that's, of course, he is that, but not in Vrindavan. That is not Krishna. Krishna is not God in Vrindavan. God is, the terminology God means, we understand as the creator, maintainer, the destroyer, like this, everything like that. But that's not what Krishna does in Vrindavan. That's what he does when he leaves Vrindavan. So one should properly respect the bhakti which is performed by the devotees of Vrindavan especially. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. Good night to all our viewers. Haribol. Prabhupada ki jai.
Ram Ram Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Hare Rama Rama Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 से बोलिए हरे राम 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 ओ हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे राम Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Hare Ram Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Jayo Tulsi Maharani, Jayo Tulsi Maharani, Tulsi Maharani, Jayo Tulsi Maharani. Jayo Vrinda Devi, Jayo Vrinda Devi, Vrinda Devi, Jayo Vrinda Devi. Jayo Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada, Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada. Jayo Guru Deva, Jayo Guru Deva, Guru Deva, Jayo Guru Deva. Nitai Gaur Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol. Nitai Gaur Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol. Hare Krishna. Vindai Tulsi Devai Piyai Kishvashucha Vishnu Bhakti Fade Devi Sattvatai Nama Nama. Vindai Tulsi Devai Piyai Kishvashucha Vishnu Bhakti Fade Devi Sattvatai Nama Nama. Vindai Tulsi Devai Piyai Kishvashucha Vishnu Bhakti Pade Devi Sattvatai Nama Nama. Vishnu Bhakti Vadayani Srimati Tulsi Maharani Ki Vrinda Devi Ki Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada Ki Nitai Gaur Sitanath Premanande Hori Hori Bol Hori Bol.
वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी यशोदनन्दन ब्रज जनरञ्जन यशोदनन्दन ब्रज जनरञ्जन पंचतत जय पंचतत पंचतत जय पंचतत राधा माधव जय राधा माधव राधा माधव जय राधा माधव जय राधा माधव राधा माधव श्री राधे जय श्री श्री राधा माधव श्रीमन महाप्रभु की पंचतत्व भगवान की नरसिंहदेव भगवान की गौ प्रेमानंद
नमो विष्णुपदाय कृष्णाभीष्टाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी नामिने नमः विष्णुपदाय कृष्णाभीष्टाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी तारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी आशास्वदेश तारिणे नमस्ते सरस्वती देवी जय जय गोरा संगे आयति काशा जय Tatavane Jagamana Eva Dakhe Lelitai Ja Sane Gadadaya Litai Eva Dakhe Pase Satra Dhaya Nikateya Doitasi Pase Satra Nikateya Doitasi Pase Satra Dhaya Vashe Yasin Gorasa Ratna Singhasan Divar Vashe Divar Vashe Yasin Gorasa Ratna Singhasan Gorasa Ratna Singhasan Arati Sandhya Adi Deva Gane Adi Deva Gana Arati Adi Deva Gane Arati Adi Gaya Goshaya Sandhya Gandhavati Goshayadi Gaya Goshayadi Shiva Shankha Vadi Ghanta Vade Vade Karota Shiva Shankha Vadi বাজে ঘন্টা বাজে বাজে করতা হরি হো আর মধুরামে রঙ্গবাদে পরমরা ছায়া মধুরামে রঙ্গবাদে পরমরা আর মধুরামে রঙ্গবাদে পরমরা ছায়া মধুরামে রঙ্গবাদে পরমরা কটি চন্দ্র দিনে বদনয়ু যাইবার কটি চন্দ্র দিনে বদনয়ু গলদেশে বনমালা করে জল মায়া গলদেশে করে জল গলদেশে বনমালা করে জল মায়া গলদেশে বন শিবা শুকনা রগাও তেনে গদগা শিবা শিবা জয় জগন্নাথ জয় বলদেব জয় সীতা মহারানী শিবা শিবা সুখ নারদাও তেনে গদগা সুখ নারদাও তেনে গদগা আর ভক্তি নাদ দেখে গোরার সম্পাদার ভক্তি নাদ দেখে গোরার ঠাকুর ভক্তি নাদ দেখে গোরার সম্পাদার নাদ দেখে গোরার শিবা জয় জয় গোরা চাঁদে আরতি কাশ শিবা জয় গোরা চাঁদে জয় শ্রী কৃষ্ণ জয় চানাম প্রভু নিত্যানন্দ শ্রী অদ্বৈত গদাধর শিবাসন গৌর ভক্ত জয় শ্রী মহাপ্রভু নিত্যানন্দ প্রভু জয় শ্রী কৃষ্ণ জয় চানাম প্রভু নিত্যানন্দ শ্রী অদ্বৈত গদাধর শিবাসন গৌর ভক্ত জয় শ্রী
Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Rama Radha Madhu Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Oh Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Rama Oh Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna Oh Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna Oh Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Ram Oh Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Ram Oh Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare 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 Ram Oh Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Ram Oh Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare 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 Ram Oh Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Ram Oh Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna Oh Hare Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Ram, Hare Ram. Jayo Radha Madhav, Jayo Radha Madhav, Radha Madhav, Jayo Radha Madhav, Radha Madhav, Radha Madhav, Radha Madhav. Jayo Radha Madhav, Jayo Radha Madhav, Radha Madhav, Radha Madhav, Radha Madhav, Jayo Radha Madhav. Jayo Panchatattva, Jayo Panchatattva, Panchatattva, Jayo Panchatattva. Jayo Panchatattva. Jaya Gauranitai, Gauranitai. Jayo Gauranitai, Jayo Gauranitai, Gauranitai, Jai Gauranitai. Jayo Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada, Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Jagat Guru. Jayo Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada, Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada, Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada, Jagat Guru. Jayo Guru Deva, Jayo Guru Deva, Guru Deva, Jayo Guru Deva, Jayo Guru Deva, Jayo Guru Deva. Nitai Gaur Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol. Nitai Gaur Hari Bol, Hari Bol. Nitai Gaur Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol. Nitai Gaur Hari Bol. Hare Namo Krishna Jadavaya Namo Hari Hare Namo Hari Hare Namo Krishna Jadavaya Namo Hari Hare Namo Hare Gopal Govinda Ram Madhusudan Gopal Govinda Ram Hare Gopal Govinda Ram Madhusudan Gopal Govinda Ram. Oh Jai Jagannath, Jai Jagannath, Jai Jagannath Swami, Jai Jagannath, Jai Jagannath, Jai Jagannath, Jai Jagannath Swami. Oh Jai Baladev, Jai Shubha. सुभद्रा जय बलदेव जय सुभद्रा जय निसिंहदेव जय निसिंहदेव निसिंहदेव जय निसिंहदेव 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 जय प्रहलाद महाराज प्रहलाद महाराज प्रहलाद महाराज जय प्रहलाद महाराज जय श्री श्री निसिंहदेव भगवान की प्रहलाद महाराज की नमस्ते नरसिंहाय नमस्ते नरसिंहाय प्रहलाद लाददायिने प्रहलाद लाददायिने हिरण्यकशिपुर्वक्षः सब कर कमल बरे नाथा अद्भुत सिंह ललिता हिरण्यकशिपु दंड भृंगा केशवधिका नरहरि रूपा जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे सब कर कमल केशवधिका नरहरि रूपा जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे केशवधिका नरहरि रूपा जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे केशवधिका नरहरि रूपा जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे केशवधिका नरहरि रूपा जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे केशवधिका नरहरि रूपा जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे निसिंह देव जय निसिंह देव निसिंह देव जय निसिंह देव बल्लाधरा जय बल्लाधरा बल्लाधरा जय बल्लाधरा प्रभुपदा जय प्रभुपदा गुरुदेवा जय गुरुदेवा नित्य गौरा हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल नित्य गौरा हरि बोल जय श्री सिंहदेव भगवान की भक्त श्री प्रहलाद महाराज की जय विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्राजक जगाचार्य अष्टोत्तर सदस्य श्रीमद हवाई चरणारविंद भक्तिवेदांत स्वामी शिल प्रभुपाद की इस्कॉन प्रतिष्ठाता आचार्य जगतगुरु शिल प्रभुपाद की जय नमो विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्राजक जगाचार्य अष्टोत्तर सदस्य श्रीमद भक्ति सिद्धांत सरस्वती ठाकुर प्रभुपाद की अनंत कोटि वैष्णव पिंड की नामाचार्य हरिदास ठाकुर की श्री श्री सनातन भट्ट रघुनाथ श्री भगोपाल भट्टदास रघुनाथ सर्वस्वामी प्रभुवान की श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गोपीनाथ श्यामकुंड राधाकुंड गिरि गोवर्धन की वृंदावन मथुरा धाम की श्री क्षेत्रपुरी धाम की जय श्री श्री जगन्नाथ बलदेव सुभद्रा महारानी की जय नवद्वीप मायापुर धाम की जय नवद्वीप मायापुर चंद्रोदय मंदिर की गंगा मैया की जमुना मैया की भक्ति देवी की जय तुलसी महारानी की जय भुवन मंगल हरिनाम संकीर्तन की अनंत कोटि वैष्णव बिंद की जय श्री श्री राधा माधव सखविंद श्रीमान महाप्रभु पंचतत्व भगवान श्री श्री नृसिंहदेव प्रहलाद महाराजेर শুভ সন্ধ্যা আরতি কি প্রপাত ট্রান্সলেটর বুক ডিসিশন কি সময় গৌর ভক্তবৃন্দ কি নিতাই গৌর প্রেমানন্দে হরে হরে বল। All glory to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glory to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glory to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glory to Sri Gauranga. All glory to Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
राम